Hey folks, in this video we're going to conclude our series on speech outlines by talking about keyword outlines. Keyword outlines should follow what is called the four-window format. To form a keyword outline, you'll want to take a blank 3x5 card, and then you'll want to ensure that it is folded in half this way. Obviously my card has writing on it, but yours will not. It should be blank when you start. And the reason that you want to fold it in half is that this is going to create four different windows. It's going to create two windows on the front of the card and then two windows on the back of the card. This should enable you to keep your thoughts more organized because you'll have four different windows or boxes to write your information in. The four-window format will allow you to follow the same structure for your notes for every note card that you do for a speech. On the front of the note card, you should write in window number 1 your introduction, your thesis, and your preview. So on the front side, on this half, intro, thesis, preview. On the opposite side of the front of the note card is where you will write main point 1. So all of main point 1 should be written on the right box of the front of the card. Then you'll flip the card over on the reverse in order to write the back side. And the back side will consist of two boxes again. In the first box, you'll write main point number 2, and in the second box, you'll write main point number 3. All of that information should allow you to deliver the speech without a need for additional notes. You may wonder, okay, well, we have all the main points in the intro, the thesis, the preview. What about the summary and the conclusion? And the answer is that when you deliver the speech, you shouldn't need to write those down because remember, your summary is going to be a restatement of the thesis and preview, which you've already written, and your conclusion is just a brief return back to the introduction, meaning you shouldn't really need to remind yourself of what you plan to say, given that they're already located on the first window on the front of the note card. That's the basic idea of the four-window format, and you'll always want to make sure that you follow that format for all keyword outlines in this class. A defining feature of the keyword outline is that you should not attempt to write very much at all. I like to borrow from this nice little quotation from The Office, "Why waste time, say lot word, when few word do trick?" Of course, in this case, this refers to writing as opposed to speaking. You'll have plenty to say, believe me, but the general principle still applies. On the note card, there should be only one complete sentence, and that is your thesis statement. That is the only complete sentence that you should have in your 3x5 card. And the reason for that is you simply do not have enough room to write complete sentences on the note card. You just don't. A 3x5 card is a very limited amount of space, and you have to be extremely judicious with how you use that space. The way that you can be effective and efficient is by writing as few words as humanly possible on your note card. Do not bother trying to get perfect grammatical sentences. It's just not worth it. You should use acronyms, abbreviations, or shorthand, symbols. Use these liberally. If there's a way that you can take an idea and make it shorter in writing, you should do it. For example, if you want to talk about Cerritos College, I don't think you should ever write out Cerritos College on your note card. You could just write Cerritos, or if you want to be even more efficient, just write CC. The important thing is that as you practice and as you rehearse, you will know what that shorthand stands for. It doesn't matter if the audience wouldn't know what it is, so long as you can translate it and convert it into spoken word. There's a couple ways in which this will manifest itself on your note card in terms of being brief, but to give you a sense of what it looks like to transform full sentences into a keyword outline, here is on the screen the first main point of the sample informative speech that I showed to you. It consists of all the complete sentences with all those ideas, and if you were to try to write word for word, everything there into a single window on a 3x5 card, which would basically be 3 inches by 2.5 inches, your handwriting would probably be size font 6. It would be impossible to read. On my note card, all of that information is condensed in a single window to this. Take a look and compare the two. You're going to notice that, first of all, there's no missing information per se. All of the subpoints from my full sentence outline are still represented on the keyword outline, but the amount of writing is vastly less. So for example, instead of writing out communication studies, I write comm studies. I use the plus symbol as a way of indicating the relationship between transferring jobs. I plan to talk about both. Instead of writing out all the acronyms for all the CSU schools, I just use LA and F because I know that those refer to Cal State LA and Cal State Fullerton, so on and so forth. You'll also notice that there's just some information that I've dropped because I think I can remember it. So for example, on my full sentence outline, I mentioned Comm 130 public speaking, but then on my keyword outline, it's not there. And that's because I think I can remember, just based on Comm 130, that that class is public speaking. You'll see lots of abbreviations, symbols, like this little plus sign, the little arrow, and these are all used to save space. This is a good example of what one window or one box on a keyword outline should look like. And of course, you'll do this same process for the other 3 windows as well. You have now learned how to create a keyword outline, and as soon as you are reasonably confident that your full sentence outline is done, you can go ahead and transform that full sentence outline into a keyword outline. A common complaint that I get is, well, that sounds really hard. How am I supposed to deliver a whole speech from just a 3x5 card? And my response is, yes, it is hard. That's one of the reasons why we have to practice doing this. Rehearsal is really, really important to get used to speaking with the 3x5 card. You want to remember that rehearsing is a process. It's not something where you can just pick up a 3x5 card and give a masterful speech. The rehearsal process that I recommend, and you'll have a chance to practice this in the future, is to, number 1, start by reading your full sentence outline out loud. Do this 4 or 5 times just to get familiar with the flow of ideas in the speech, the order of ideas, specific wording that sounds good. Then, once you're comfortable, you can switch to using a 3x5 card. And remember that no 2 rehearsals are ever going to be alike because you are not reading a manuscript. Reading a manuscript is really boring. Instead, using a note card will allow you to speak dynamically, and it'll be much more interesting for the audience, with the flip side being that every time you give the speech, it'll be a little different because you won't be writing down word for word what to say. So it's totally okay if you have some variations from the keyword outline from time to time. You might notice some from my sample speech, but the important thing is use the keyword outline, the 3x5 note card, to effectively and dynamically deliver your speech.